Art is the expression of human emotion and imagination, conveyed through various creative mediums, whether it's through dancing, composing music, or paintbrush on a canvas. Without a doubt, the breakthrough in technology has shaped how we express ourselves. In this video, I'll be comparing the differences between traditional and digital art, their pros and cons, and how you will fit into each category. Of course, the first category I will talk about is traditional art. Painting was invented long before the first computer was ever invented. By that, I mean several millennia. The first form of art were cave paintings made by pigments like charcoal. Fast forward to more modern times, art became more refined and prevalent. Traditional art, as we know today, uses pretty much the same tools as back when Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci were painting. A standard paintbrush, paint, a palette, and a canvas. Nothing fancy. Fast forward again, we have Bob Ross, using similar tools with his iconic thick 2-inch flat brush.
You know, this is the fun part. And we wash our brushes with odorless thinner. Shake off the excess, and then just beat the devil out of it.
Fan brush and palette knife to mix the colors. In traditional art, you have multiple tools that are tangible and are limited. Paint supplies can run out, and if you have a limited number of paint, you have to mix certain colors to create a new paint color that you don't originally have. You don't just create a piece.
You gotta feel it.
Each and every stroke with your paintbrush will matter. The rough and smooth feedback you get between the paintbrush and canvas, that tactile feeling is what makes the strokes accurate and on point. This also applies with pencil on paper, where people usually start their art journey on. The feedback you get from graphite that contacts the surface of the paper is what gives the thrill of drawing in the first place. Then people move on to colored pencils, which is a whole different ballpark in my opinion. You see, the thing with colored pencils is that it takes a significant amount of time to blend the colors, otherwise it will look scratchy and ugly. Or as an alternative, people would prefer coloring with markers, as it requires less effort to render. Now let's compare that to digital art. Digital art comes with a different setup. You can use either a screenless pen tablet, a display tablet, or an entire standalone tablet, which is the highest end tablets you can find used by professionals in the creative industry. Screenless tablets are the cheapest, and take the most time to get used to, since you're not looking at the physical strokes, but rather the monitor of your computer. In other words, you need to have a good hand-eye coordination. It usually takes weeks or even months to get used to this style. In the world of digital art, you can eliminate your mistakes just by hitting Ctrl-Z to undo. You can also duplicate, crop, transform, and all other kinds of tools in the software you use. You also don't have to worry about making a mess and finding a place to store all your 1,256 colored pencils and markers. Digital art is infinitely more neat and tidy. However, there are some things that people have to consider when trying digital art. The first point I would like to talk about is the high barrier of entry. You need a laptop or computer that is comfortable in running the drawing software you use. Although drawing tablets can be cheaper in the long run, it might be a turn-off for newcomers if they are only able to afford a screenless tablet but only can draw properly using a display tablet or iPad. If you're an iPad user, it's definitely going to be more expensive. For the second point, is that software is not universal. Different softwares have different tools and shortcuts, so it's better to just stick to one. It will also definitely take some time, probably a few weeks, to get comfortable with the software you're using. For example, I started off using GIMP, but I did eventually move to Krita, as it has a more intuitive UI and ease of use. I'd recommend Krita if you want a free open source drawing software. Otherwise, I suggest getting Photoshop, as it is the industry standard for professional work. And for the third point I would like to talk about is the color accuracy. Color accuracy will be compromised if your monitor has a low sRGB color gamut. Or in other words, your screen or monitor can't represent the colors accurately. While you don't have to worry about that in traditional art. If you're someone who values tactile experience and tradition, traditional art may speak to your soul. But if you're into efficiency, flexibility, and adaptability, digital art is your playground. And just a reminder, it's not about choosing only one. Many artists find joy in both. Personally, I prefer digital art, as it is more flexible and makes less of a mess. Some artists would usually start off a sketch with pencil and paper and then import it onto their drawing softwares to finish the render later on. You can see the final verdict on screen right now for both traditional art and digital art. So whether you're team traditional or digital, both have their strengths. What matters most is how you express your creativity. Try both, mix them up, and find what works for you. Because at the end of the day, it's not the tool, it's the artist. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, which one do you prefer, traditional or digital art? Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.